everybody for being here today. We appreciate it. Those of you who are watching this live and those of you who will be watching it later. You are here to learn about a professional development tool from Lexia. You're going to learn about their letters and their Aspire tool. So over the past 2 weeks, Wayne Risa has collaborated with vendors identified on the 35M professional development list to offer webinars that provide an overview of their products and services. Today, you'll have the opportunity to learn more about Lexia and the services that are on the professional development list. At the end of this week, once all sessions have concluded, we will share webinar recordings and information that has been shared by the vendors. If you would like earlier access, please visit our grant website at grants.risa.net. Under the 35M section, you will find an updated recording list and vendor materials as they become available. So if you have questions today during the presentation, please place them in the Q&A window. There will be representatives from the vendor available to answer your questions. You can find this feature on the toolbar. Should you have issues doing this, you can also place things in the chat and they can be answered from there. So just finally, Wayne Risa does not endorse any specific providers. These webinars are offered as a service to help districts make informed decisions about the 35M grant spending. For questions about specific products, please contact the vendors directly. If you are a Wayne County district or school and would like support in identifying instructional needs or developing a plan for purchasing and adopting materials, we invite you to reach out to a Wayne Risa literacy consultant. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and I am going to hand this over to Cassandra Wheeler from Lexia.
Hello again, my name is Cassandra Wheeler. I'm a National Senior Education Advisor at Lexia. Just celebrated my 21st anniversary a couple of weeks ago on June 1, and it is my pleasure today to talk to you about one of my favorite things, letters. But before I start the presentation, let me first start with a story. I'm going to tell you about your story, the story of the Michigan Department of Education and Lexia Letters. It began as part of Public Act 144 of 2022. The Michigan Department of Education provided evidence-based literacy instruction grounded in the science of reading at no cost to eligible educators and administrators all across the state. So if you met the eligibility requirements that you see there on the screen, if you met that criteria, you were welcome to embark on your science of reading journey via letters. In fact, over 11,000 educators across the state took up this initiative. This chart illustrates the growth of the letters implementation over time. Pretty impressive, right? And you should know that the cohort start dates for the next cohorts go all the way until May 2026. So let's just keep the party going, shall we? I thought you would be curious to see this. This graphic shows participant sentiments around the delivery of the professional learning that we provide at Lexia. This is Q1 results from this year, looking from January until April. So this is the Q1 2025 snapshot that reflects 10,030 respondents that came to our professional learning sessions, completed our surveys, and this is their sentiments of how they felt about the learning that they had in those sessions. Again, from January until April. Notice this, 97% of respondents agreed that the sessions they attended helped them with their understanding of the research-based practices for whatever role they served in the state. And then 96% of respondents agreed that they felt like from the skills and concepts that they learned from their science of reading course in letters, they could then go back into their classrooms and into their schools to implement. And that's the whole point, right? But I thought, who better to tell the Lexia Letters Michigan success story better than some of your own fellow Michiganders? Watch this.
When we started hearing that letters was going to be a possibility and took a look at what it really included and kind of started digging deep, it felt like that missing college course or two that none of us really had.
So we have over 20 of our K2 teachers and staff members are taking letters right now.
Almost all of my third grade is either currently enrolled or starting soon, and preschool just enrolled too.
And I have noticed a huge change in just our conversations. Our students are truly benefiting from it, but our teachers are really starting to understand, and we're all learning together.
I can speak the same language. When somebody talks or asks a question, we're like, oh, let me show you. I know I have a procedure that will help you.
We're learning how that reading brain functions and works, and then learning those routines and strategies. Our students really need that.
If I was required to do a certain language program, grammar program, reading program, whatever, I could apply the strategies and routines that I'm learning in letters training to those other programs.
So often we're looking for the how of how we're going to teach our students, and letters provide that for us with the backing of research, which is so vital.
So it's not another program off to the side, or what do we have to decide to get rid of? It's the learning we needed to kind of cement it all together.
Teachers, yes, without a doubt, I would sign up for letters training. It's a commitment. I understand that, but it's going to be the best commitment that you make for your students.
All I can say is do it.
I love that. Do it. So as you heard from your fellow colleagues, they talked about the importance of the science of reading within their letters journey. But Gina, the literacy coach there at Onsted, specifically mentioned the reading brain. Did anybody watching that go, huh? Yeah, so to better understand the depth of the content that you'll experience in letters, you really have to start with what is meant by the science of reading and how we continue to foster that understanding and application of that within the course itself. So this is where it begins. It starts in the brain for us as humans. And I love that the authors of letters started talking about the reading brain in the very beginning of the letters journey as well. But get this. So when Marcia Davis, the principal at Onsted, talked about letters was like missing that college course or two that none of us really had. Yeah, because for far too long, many of our institutions of higher learning, particularly our teacher prep courses, were not addressing the basic essentials of reading, the 5 big ideas. They weren't addressing that in their course syllabi. So many of us matriculated through our college courses and did not get that understanding, did not have any of that in part of our course study. And reading instruction is a science. Research has shown and proven to us that, unfortunately, about half of our teacher undergraduate programs actually teach that and give the behind of the reading instruction. So if you're not taught the science of reading, then you can't teach the science of reading in your classrooms. And many of us have gone through that experience where we're in the classroom and we have discouragement and we have frustration and we have lack of confidence because we're not exactly sure we want to be exposed by not knowing what we need to know to make our kids successful. We also constantly hear from teachers things like, why did I not ever know this? Why am I just now learning about this and I'm in my 17th year of my career, right? So we have all these personal stories relating to teachers' understanding about not having understanding prior to being in the classroom. And unfortunately, it's not their fault. It is not their fault. So let's talk about letters, and I want to give you an overview of our entire letter suite, because letters really is a comprehensive professional learning experience, and it's tailored to meet the needs of elementary educators, pre-K educators, as well as administrators and leaders. Each course that you see here that we'll talk about is going to be designed to meet that specific group of specialized entity within your school district or in your building. And all of these things help to drive toward transformational literacy outcomes. So first up, let's talk about letters as an investment in teachers' literacy knowledge. Would you join me right there where you're sitting? Would you join me in reading this statement with me, please? Letters provides a professional learning course of study based in the science of reading for elementary educators that teaches the why, what, and how of literacy acquisition to improve instructional practice and impact long-term systemic change in literacy instruction. Thank you so much. And now to understand the why, the what, and the how, it looks like this.
While every teacher aspires to meet their students' needs, not every educator has the why, the what, and the how of the science of reading in their toolkit. Lexia LETRS, the gold standard in science of reading-based professional learning, was created to fill that gap. Teachers are the single most important factor in student success, and by transforming their instruction, LETRS-trained teachers are transforming lives every day. As educators move through LETRS, they engage with a blended learning experience, including print, the online platform, and even live online or live in-person sessions. Bridge to practice opportunities empower teachers to apply newly learned concepts in the classroom, creating a synergy between training and practice. Embedded modeling videos demonstrate best practices for applying science of reading concepts to classroom instruction. LETRS supports teachers by offering a deep well of resources, such as graphic organizers that help learners visualize concepts and lesson plans that apply directly to classroom instruction. A detailed dashboard with real-time reporting gives course managers the ability to measure participation and knowledge gains while giving teachers agency over their learning. When teachers understand the why, the what, and the how of science of reading-based instruction, they transform their students' lives and inspire a lifelong love of learning. It's as simple and as extraordinary as that. Get what you need from us so they can get what they need from you.
Teachers are indeed the single most important critical factor of a child's success in school. We recognize that. So when we think about the ultimate goal of reading through a very simple math problem, it would look like this, right? Word recognition times language comprehension equals reading comprehension. It's called the simple view of reading. And if a student is proficient in both word recognition and language comprehension, the result is reading comprehension. But on the converse, if a student is not proficient in word recognition, or they're not proficient in language comprehension, there will be no reading comprehension. All of these things must happen for that to be successful for our students. Let's go a little deeper. This is Hollis Scarborough's reading rope, which really depicts the idea of the pathway to becoming a skilled reader. So as you see here, from those strands in word recognition at the very bottom, combined language comprehension at the very top, when those things are bound tightly and woven together through a course of having ongoing automaticity and being very strategic in how you're approaching what you're reading, then we get to what's called reading comprehension. This theoretical model really is crucial for your understanding of the basics for the foundation of science of reading. Because when I talked about what happens in colleges that we oftentimes miss, that we don't get, here it is. The essentials of literacy, or sometimes known as the 5 big ideas of reading. And the good news is, with letters, we don't just talk about phonemic fluency bouquet. We go a little deeper because we want our good readers to also be good writers. And if you're a good writer, then you probably need to be a good speller. Lexia, all that means we ultimately want children to be able to read, write letters for educators, the elementary educators. This is designed into 2 volumes that consist of 8 units of study. And within all of those units are really the essential components of how literacy instruction is taught. And you'll see there are some direct correlations back to Hollis Scarborough's reading rope. So all of this is what we're talking about within the course of instruction that really helps teachers understand the science of reading, but make the connection between the oral and written language that really are critical to literacy development. I thought you might want to see the topics. So here are all 8 units of letters broken down into their really specific unit topics. Volume 1 would be completed in year 1 and volume 2 in year 2. Yes, letters is a 2-year commitment and a worthwhile investment and teachers' literacy knowledge. Let's talk now about letters for early childhood, all about the first steps to early literacy. Again, will you read this statement with me? Letters for Early Childhood Educators Professional Learning provides deep knowledge of literacy instruction for the youngest learners. The more children know about language and literacy before they begin kindergarten and first grade, the better equipped they are to succeed in literacy learning and beyond. Thank you so much. It is now my pleasure to introduce you to the co-author of Early Childhood for Educators for Letters. This is Dr. Lucy Hart Paulson.
A newborn baby is able to recognize his or her mother's voice. So we know that auditory system and that phonologic system, how that voice sounds, which is phonology, is already establishing in babies when they're really, really little. At about 6 months to 12 months or so, they're starting to tune in now to what the actual words are and word boundaries. That's their job. And so receptive language is occurring. And then at that magical time, at about 12 months, they say their first word. So they've learned the sounds, they've put the meaning together, and now they're using oral language. And in those earliest years, infant, toddler, preschoolers is the time frame when our brains are the most open to being able to acquire a language.
So notice her connection back to the brain. And much like we had the 5 big ideas of reading for the elementary educators, here are the essentials of early literacy. This is going to cover all of the skills that comprise fundamental elements for early literacy for our pre-K students. So for example, we're going to dive really deep into oral language development, making sure that teachers can have all the essential skills needed to help students develop expressive vocabulary as they learn the progression of morphological development within young children. So notice we are specifically targeting the needs of our early educators for pre-K students with semantics, morphology, syntax, and prosody. Once again, here are the topics. So I thought you would be curious to see how this looks for elementary early childhood educators. There are 4 units of study, each of which addresses a critical component of early literacy instruction. And so you'll see here that this would actually comprise a 1-year commitment toward your first steps to early literacy. Now let's talk about our lead teachers, if you will, our own building principals and school leaders who work tirelessly to create opportunities for systemic change in literacy instruction that lasts. I love having you guys read with me. Will you join me one more time? Let's read this together. Letters for Administrators equips instructional leaders with the knowledge, science, and tools to implement and sustain a successful literacy initiative. You got it. So when we think about what does this look like, we have implementation drivers that really are the key components to make sure we can use this to facilitate the use of the program in practice. So implementation drivers assure the development of relevant competencies, necessary organization supports, engage stakeholder groups for the most part. Think of drivers like professional learning sessions, coaching, scheduling of PLCs, leadership strategy meetings, the establishment of fidelity measures, using data systems, or actually removing barriers within your school or within your district. This focus on implementation drivers actually may help you think about developing and sustaining the infrastructures that you need to not only improve what's happening there in your building or in your district, but to further sustain these new instructional practices over time and support these systems for overall improved outcomes. And much like before, I want you to see what the scope and sequence or the units of study for our letters for administrators looks like. Say that 5 times fast. This course consists of 5 units of 4 sessions each. Units 2 and 3 also include a review of the letters concepts so you can stay aligned with what teachers are learning back in the classroom. And then unit 5 is going to focus on sustainability. This, of course, for administrators, given all the different things that they have going on, we offer a 2-year timeline for completion. This is all about acknowledging the importance of having that systemic change in literacy instruction that lasts, and how that can sometimes be a really heavy lift. Now, in the video, you saw a little bit about some data reporting and access to being able to see how the course matures and progresses over time. So as soon as in that district, a leader or a course manager is identified, they get a quick overview of how Letters is doing, how you're progressing through the coursework, which really makes it very easy and quick to consume all of that data that you'll have for your teachers. So this dashboard is an example of what's available if you are the leader or the course manager. And this would be based on who purchases Letters. So the leader and course managers, again, will have access to the data either at the state or the district or the school level, depending on your entity for who purchases the course. This dashboard shows you participant progress. That way you can see what's happening with the people that are part of the Letters course and journey over time. Here's an example of what some performance data would look like. And so if you're a course manager, you want to come in here on a regular basis to see what's happening with all the people in your district or in your school that are part of this journey. This dashboard gives you an example of showing how much time is being spent. Again, over a 2-year period of time or a 1-year period of time, you want to be able to see how teachers are accumulating that time as they're enjoying their Letters course. This also shows you mastery levels. As they complete the course and as they take the various assessments, you can see how they're progressing toward mastery of understanding of the science of reading content through the Letters journey. Also, if you're a course manager, you can see the license availability and allocation. And again, this dashboard is available to leaders and course managers based on how it was purchased, whether you're at the district or the state or the school level, respectively. I also thought you should see this because this shows you that Letters is comprised of having an actual manual of study that you would read, the digital coursework that allows you to build your skills and strategies, which is what you'll actually log into through some sort of device. And then you heard the video talk about the bridge to practice. That's a very critical component as we think about how do we take all of this science of study, science of reading study, and apply it back to the classrooms. The bridge to practice gives your teachers an opportunity to try it out and practice the activities with their students to show their learning and progress of working through the Letters course. Now, when we think about this entire Letters journey and how you're going to be impacted over time, we also want you to be aware of this. We have Letters success partnerships that are available to customers who actually invest in the guided implementation model. It is the one that we recommend most highly if you really want to have a successful outcome to your Letters journey. And so that would involve having the online learning platform and the learning manual that you're working through together to comprise your actual Letters journey, and then having those professional learning sessions with our staff from Lexia to really help make everything solidified for your learning within the science of reading. With our Lexia partnerships, this is what we think about that really takes you to the next level within your journey to really make you successful. We pair the expertise of our customer success team. We have customer success managers that know all about how to support educators within the classroom and supporting what they're doing with their Letters journey. Then we also pair that with some really deep knowledge of our product understanding from what you're getting from your Letters journey with the science of reading. And then this team works to help support what's happening with implementation because we're making sure that everything from onboarding to goal setting to ensuring that your district can realize the value that they've placed and investing in Letters can be realized in the classroom based on from their perspective of skills and collaborative relationships that we'll get from working with our customer success managers. And all of this really does allow for you to have a successful implementation of Letters. So this is what the partnership packages would look like. I'll give you a minute to kind of digest that. We have various levels from bronze up through platinum. And depending on how heavy of a handhold you would like, would determine the level of the partnership that you might enter into with Lexia as you work through your Letters implementation. And as you can see there are different pacing of scheduling for what we do for district leaders, how we help you launch the letters into your district or your building if you're doing it for you're looking at your individual schools as an example, how you're going to monitor and sustain letters initiatives over time. And all of these things, again, are wrapped around making sure the science of reading knowledge is being impactful right there in your teachers' classrooms. The differences between the tiers is critically important, just kind of based on whatever your virtual success metrics are for your meetings and how you want to continue supporting that within the customer success management for the team that we provide. But all of these things are what we sit down with you and talk about to really help make your entire letters journey successful. Here is a timeline of an example that I thought you might want to see, that we really are deliberate and intentional about this relationship, about this partnership. And so depending on which pathway you choose on the previous slide, this would give you an idea of what a typical timeline would be when you are entered into a success partnership with Lexia Letters. So just kind of to wrap up with letters for early childhood, letters for administrators, all of these things really do comprise our comprehensive solution to make sure that we can have the science of reading and structured literacy combined across your district. So as you see the way the courses are built and how they have their various commonalities, this is to allow us an opportunity to keep focused on the specific content of each of those different courses, but also show you how they're not just standalone. There's things that they all do combined well together that really do give us this comprehensive nature of what we do to support our districts and schools that embark on the letters journey. And again, this is the entire suite of letters that really does support you in your understanding of science of reading content. But there's one more thing I have to share with you. Drum roll, please. Introducing Letters Connect. This is the next step in applying letters knowledge across classrooms. Letters Connect really is more than just a digital platform. It is a dynamic ecosystem that really allows our continuous learning of our customers that have been part of the letters journey. So this is going to be filled with tools and resources that let you continue your literacy outcomes after you have experienced your letters course. But don't take my word for it. Let me give you a sneak peek into Letters Connect. Watch this.
Welcome to Lexia Letters Connect, designed to empower educators and leaders with insights into the latest literacy research and best practices to cultivate and apply evidence-based instructional practices in their classroom. Built on trusted Lexia Letters content, Letters Connect offers letters graduates the opportunity to continue their professional learning journey. To enhance their knowledge and confidence in the science of reading instruction, Letters Connect offers educators and leaders access to their previously completed letters course content, engage in interactive sessions with leading experts, access to a new enhanced resource library with downloadable materials and modeling videos, a comprehensive journal, and access to live events with subject matter experts. Now let's dive into Letters Connect. To ensure a successful start to the Letters Connect course experience, a first-time walkthrough will appear for a participant to access. This guide will introduce them to the key content and features of Letters Connect, providing just-in-time support as they begin engaging with the course. The homepage highlights and organizes recommended sessions, resources, and modeling videos for a learner to start working through the course. The homepage was built to be a one-stop shop for educators to launch into recommended sessions and continue where they left off. It's organized by their previously completed course. To the left of the screen, the navigation bar begins with providing access to the previous course in the drop-down tab. This is where a participant can access their previously completed letters course and revisit content and resources. The Home button allows participants to return to the home page from wherever they are throughout the Letters Connect course. The Sessions button provides access to the full library of sessions. We'll take a deeper look at the structure of a session later. The Journal button, similar to the letters courses, captures reflections and course notes. The Resources button brings you to the Enhanced Resource Library, a comprehensive library of modeling videos, downloadable resources, and session-related content. Participants can easily tailor and view content of interest by using the search functionality or filtering by literacy components. They can also see the resources that they favorited for quick access to important materials that they want to revisit. They can even view modeling videos from here. Same functionality of being able to speed it up or slow it down, closed captioning, and making it full screen as needed is a benefit for all learners. By favoriting content, they can always return to it later. Like the other LETRS courses, the View Profile icon provides visibility to participants, transcripts, license status, completion certificates, and additional information related to their account.
As you can see, we really have taken our time to make sure that this LETRS Connect can be very supportive and successful for our customers. Just wanted to give you a little sneak peek because this hits the marketplace. It hits all of our customers' availability next month. We are so excited about LETRS Connect. And that is really all about LETRS, the entire LETRS suite, looking at our success partnership opportunities, and also looking forward to what's coming next with LETRS Connect. Now, let's shift from LETRS talking about our Aspire journey. And with that, I'll turn the mic over to my esteemed colleague, Lori Riddell.
Hi, everybody. We've just explored the power of Lexia LETRS Suite, and I'm getting ready to share my screen. So just a moment. Can we see my screen? All right. So we've just explored the power of Lexia LETRS Suite and how it builds deep knowledge of the science of reading. Let's shift our focus to what comes next. In Michigan, we know the need doesn't stop at the foundational understanding. Educators are looking for ongoing support to turn that knowledge into practice across all grade levels and all tiers of instruction. That's where Lexia Aspire Professional Learning comes in. Aspire is designed specifically for educators in upper elementary through high school who are working with students beyond the early grades. It builds on the science of reading foundation by helping teachers apply evidence-based strategies in real classrooms, whether they're supporting struggling readers, designing small group instruction, or integrating literacy across content areas. So let's take a closer look at how Aspire supports Michigan educators in moving from learning about the science of reading to truly living it out in the daily classroom instruction. Before we dive into what Aspire looks like in action, it's important to pause and talk about why this work matters so much. We know there's incredible potential in every student. And as instructional leaders, we also know the right instruction can make all the difference. But let's be honest, we're still seeing a huge gap between what's possible and what's actually happening in the classrooms. Research tells us that 95% of all students have the cognitive capacity to become proficient readers with effective instruction, whereas only about 30% of our 8th grade students are currently reading proficiently. That's not just a statistic, it's a wake-up call. So let's look at how Lexia Aspire can help us close that gap by giving educators the tools, knowledge, and support to change outcomes for all learners. We've looked at the why, that critical gap between what's possible and what's actually happening. It's time to talk about the how we support the educators who are right in the middle of this work, especially those working with adolescent learners. Aspire is built to meet the real needs of today's educators. It's not a curriculum. It's professional learning designed to strengthen teacher knowledge and practice. No matter what curriculum or materials they're using, it equips educators with 3 key things: the what literacy skills need to be taught, the why those skills matter for adolescent readers, and most importantly, the how to deliver that instruction effectively in the classroom. We understand how Aspire aligns to the needs of educators to support strong literacy instruction. It's important to zoom out just a bit because there's a science to teaching reading. And while we tend to focus a lot on early elementary, literacy doesn't stop there. In fact, for many students, the stakes only get higher in middle and high school. That's where Aspire Professional Learning really shines. No matter what subject you teach, whether it's ELA, science, history, or math, reading is foundational. Students can't engage meaningfully with content if they can't access the language of that content. That's why it is so critical that we continue to build teacher knowledge of evidence-based literacy practices across the curriculum. Aspire helps educators do just that. It empowers educators in every content area to understand how the science of reading applies to their instruction and gives them tools to support adolescent learners during every part of their school day. I'm not going to dive into Scarborough's rope and the simple view of reading because you just saw that with Cassandra when we did the dive into letters. So I am going to show you the alignment to here's what letters covers when we're talking about the science of reading. And in Michigan, you have truly embraced the letters suite of professional learning for early childhood administrators and our educators at the elementary level. And this image shows how letters addresses each of the components of Scarborough's reading rope. Let's take a minute and look at how Aspire builds the same knowledge and skills for educators, specifically for those of the adolescent level. The latest NAEP scores 2024 shows us something we can't ignore. Again, only about 30% of our 8th graders are reading on grade level. That means educators across all subject areas are being called to help students navigate and understand complex texts. Just like letters equips elementary educators with the science and strategies to build strong foundational readers, Aspire is here to support teachers working with adolescent learners. It brings together the research, knowledge, and practical tools to help older students continue their journey towards becoming confident, proficient readers. We've explored the why behind this work, the urgent need to close the gap between students' potential and their current reading outcomes, because understanding the challenge is just the first step. What really moves the needle is professional learning that equips educators with the tools to make real, lasting challenge and change. If we agree that literacy is everyone's responsibility, then the next step is figuring out how we make that shared responsibility work in real classrooms. And that's where professional learning comes in. It's the key to turning good intentions into effective practice. That's exactly where Lexia LETRS and Aspire Professional Learning Solutions come in. Grounded in the science of reading and structured literacy, LETRS and Aspire offer practical research-based strategies educators can apply right away with hands-on tools, bridge to practice activities, and even options for graduate credit. These solutions help teachers make an immediate impact backed by more than 40 years of Lexia's literacy expertise. Aspire Professional Learning is grounded again in the science of reading and is flexible, self-paced professional learning course that empowers all educators to accelerate literacy skills among students in grades 4 through 12. This course was designed and developed specifically for educators of adolescent students, where the focus is on reading to learn versus learning to read. It equips educators with the knowledge and skills they need to apply evidence-based strategies to a classroom that has varying levels of literacy competencies. Aspire is also IDA accredited, which means it meets the highest standards for reading instruction. What makes it stand out is that it's one of the few programs specifically designed for educators working with adolescents. So you get a rigorous research-based experience that's truly relevant to the needs of adolescent students. This slide says it all. All educators' time is precious, and Lexia Aspire is designed specifically for secondary educators. Lexia Aspire starts with the end goal and breaks down the why, what, and how of effective literacy instruction. Educators receive real-time personalized scaffolding within all check for understanding assessments. And lastly, Lexia Aspire provides educators with flexibility and autonomy to learn what is best for their present classroom and create equitable opportunities for all students. Educators and leaders also gain insight into Aspire's effectiveness through data to easily make informed decisions for greater classroom implementation. So when we think about how Aspire Professional Learning is structured, it's digital, self-paced, and flexible, allowing teachers to pick relevant courses specifically for them. Aspire has 31 courses composed of over 130 bite-sized modules that take approximately 45 hours to complete. The red boxes are the 3 different domains, each of which is a component of the simple view of reading: word recognition, language comprehension, and reading comprehension and writing. The blue line indicates the prerequisite courses, and the green courses are those that are currently available. Educators will start with an introductory video stating the program's purpose. This ensures that the solution feels relevant for all educators and that they clearly understand the objectives. It will also help educator groups who feel teaching reading is not their responsibility to see the value of embedding literacy into their instruction. After the introductory video, and there are 2 introductory prerequisites. Educators move into the domains. The red box, each domain has a knowledge check and a prerequisite course that addresses a grade level adolescent literacy goal. Based on the simple view of reading, the 3 prerequisite courses of that the adolescent student needs to do by the secondary level, if they are reading to learn, is read fluently and have a foundation of age-appropriate academic language and focus on comprehension, learning content when they read. In the word recognition domain, subsequent courses break down the literacy components needed to achieve that goal that might be missing if students are still learning to read. We refer to this as a flipped scope and sequence, designed to be conducive to educators of adolescent students looking to fill specific gaps in learning. The additional courses under the word recognition act as building blocks of literacy, going all the way down to supporting phonemic awareness. Aspire now offers personalized pathways for different educator cohorts, making it easier than ever to tailor professional learning to fit the unique needs of your team. With input from state, district, and school leaders, course managers can now create custom learning journeys directly in the Aspire platform. You can design pathways based on roles, classroom needs, or district priorities, whatever makes the most sense for your educators. You can choose from pre-built options or easily modify them to align with your goals and strategies. And with built-in reporting tools, you'll get valuable insights into educator progress and engagement so you can make informed decisions every step of the way. How does Aspire Scope and Sequence really come to life? It starts with the online coursework. Each course includes built-in checks for understanding. What's unique about Aspire is that these checks are adaptive. If an educator gets a question right, they move on to the next question. If they miss that question, they're guided back into the learning through a personalized support before trying a similar question on the same topic. It's all about learning and scaffolding, not just testing. And educators earn points as they go. They can revisit the content anytime, which helps reinforce and deepen their understanding. Plus, Aspire includes practical, ready-to-use, bridge to application resources, so educators can take what they've learned and apply it directly in the classroom right away. Domain level assessments replace the overall pretest. The knowledge checks provide a smaller and more focused review of the material before taking courses in a domain. The 15-question knowledge checks are available for each domain after completing both prerequisite courses. User growth and mastery of the course content is now measured by comparing each domain's knowledge check versus the average scores on the check for understanding assessment at the end of each course in a given domain. Instead of measuring a pre-test against the post-test to measure growth, this approach allows users multiple chances to steadily grow and improve their knowledge by taking additional courses. What's really powerful about Aspire is that it supports educators from upper elementary through high school with the research and reasoning behind what we teach and why it matters. Each course includes bridged application opportunities that connect learning to real classroom practice with ready-to-use resources. Because let's be honest, if teachers can't apply what they've learned, the impact stops there. Aspire keeps the focus on transferability, helping educators turn learning into lasting, meaningful change. And it's not a one and done. It's designed to be sustainable and supportive over time. Let's look at how Aspire can assist educators in various content areas with instructional challenges some of our adolescent students face. For example, in math, potential challenging vocabulary may interfere with students' understanding of how to solve a word problem. Educators will develop and learn strategies that can support students in building vocabulary within the explicit vocabulary instruction course. This is a sample of one of the prerequisite courses in Aspire, factors that contribute to deep comprehension. You will see it is structured in the same way we want educators to set priorities for students during instruction. You will find the overview of the course and the 4 objectives for the course when you first sign in. Here you will see just a few samples of the bridged application resources to apply the learning directly into the classroom, no matter what content or curriculum the educators are utilizing. This allows these resources for the educator also has the opportunity to view video vignettes, actually witnessing the lesson being taught within an actual classroom. This provides the educator a visual on how it can be implemented within their own classroom. And that's very important, especially when we're at the adolescent level. Aspire comes with built-in support for implementation through professional learning community resources. You have access to a PLC guide to help you launch and sustain collaborative learning, plus downloadable tools you can use for your own review or to support educators across your district. It's all about making it easy to bring this learning into your everyday work with colleagues. And just like with letters, Lexia has partnered with the American College of Education. If participants complete the courses in Aspire, they can apply through ACE for up to 6 credit hours towards a master's or doctoral degree. And so let's look just for a moment at the types of information you will have access to in the Leaders dashboard. This data can be utilized to make district or school site decisions around ongoing professional learning to support your educators. Within Aspire, leaders have access to progress scores, assessment data, and individual checks for understanding. This shows the progress that educators have made and the difference between assessment performance at different points of the program. We have assessments at the start and throughout the program to help understand the engagement and quality of the program. If you look at this report, it shows all educators' final scores on the assessment. As a leader, we understand you have limited time, so this dashboard gives you a high-level overview of how your educators are performing and progressing through Aspire. There is also the option to do a deeper dive into each individual educator's performance as needed. Here you will see data presented on the time spent in the program and completion rates. There are different ways to look at completion. Let's dive into the Lexia Success Partnerships. You looked at a sample within Letters, and these are offered to support the implementation of Aspire. So what makes Lexia's Success Partnerships so powerful is the combining of 3 critical elements: the expertise of our customer success team. Our customer success managers are literacy experts as well as practitioners with years of experience in the classroom and working in education leadership roles. Second, the deep knowledge around our products. Our customer success managers are product experts and understand Aspire from content, end user, and customer leadership perspectives. And finally, these amazing folks are highly skilled in implementation best practices. Everything from onboarding to goal setting, ensuring your district, school realizes value from Aspire as quickly as possible. Our customer success managers have the perspective, skills, and resources needed for effective, collaborative relationships with your leadership team. It is the combination of these 3 elements that make our success partnerships the best professional services offering in the market. Aspire Success Partnerships are available in different levels or tiers of service and support across platinum, gold, silver, and bronze. The key differences between the 4 tiers are in the quantity of touch points, especially the number of virtual success metrics and/or strategy meetings your leadership team will have with their assigned customer success manager throughout the 12 months of your partnership, as well as the number of launch and kickoff sessions for leaders and participants. Your Aspire Success Partnership begins with a collaborative planning meeting where your dedicated customer success manager works with your leadership team to build an implementation plan aligned to your goals and priorities. You'll then schedule leadership launch and participant kickoff sessions based on your partnership tier. From there, you'll have ongoing success metric and strategy meetings with your customer success manager to review progress, adjust plans, and explore next steps like professional learning communities and the bridge to application activities. You'll also have access to additional helpful resources to guide your team in selecting the right Aspire learning pathways. We are here today because we all believe something powerful, that teachers matter more than any one program or product. Educators make the biggest difference in how students grow as readers. Across the country, we've seen what's possible when educators are equipped with the right knowledge, tools, and support. And that's what today is about, empowering you to make that impact even stronger. That brings us to this quote from Suzanne Carricker, the Aspire developer, which beautifully captures the heart of our work. Literacy is a crucial skill, not just in academics, but throughout a student's life. By using the science of reading to inform what we teach, why we teach it, and how we teach it, we can help every student achieve success. This is our shared purpose, grounding instruction in the science of reading to unlock lifelong opportunities for every learner. Let's watch a quick clip of how one district expanded their science of reading work to include their teachers of adolescence.
One of the biggest things that I think makes the biggest impact for students is teacher efficacy. What does evidence-based practice look like for middle school? My name is Rhonda Nelson. I serve as the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Coordinator for a school district in Bettendorf, Iowa. So we've used Lexia Core 5 for many years. We have since included more professional development. One of the biggest things that I think Volume 1 and Volume 2 the biggest impact for students this year is teacher efficacy. What does evidence-based practice look like for middle school? My name is Rhonda Nelson. I serve as the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Coordinator for a school district in Bettendorf, Iowa. So we've used Lexia Core 5 for many years. We have since included more professional development through letters, and Volume 1 and Volume 2. New this year is a professional development opportunity that we've offered to our middle school with Aspire, which is the professional learning that is targeted to grades 4 through 8 and will really help them bring evidence-based practices into their classrooms. It was a successful professional learning with letters that then the middle school saw what the elementary was going through and what they were learning, and then where that was taking them as a team, that then they just started asking for it. They just really saw a gap there, that they were missing some learning that they wish they had. They see their elementary peers having it. It was a very nice development to see that transfer up. We have 23 middle school educators going through it, and it's our classroom ELA teachers, our academic interventionists, our special education teachers, and their instructional coaches. Teacher-focused learning about reading science has been hugely beneficial, and Aspire then with the application pieces has just really been well received. And that's not always an easy group to win over. So yay for that. They're learning a lot and they're appreciating it. The outcome goal will be just providing evidence-based instruction to all students. When you can find a company that has products to support the learning and the application, and you can trust them, it's very important and it's very valuable. It's been a really wonderful partnership with Lexia.
As we wrap up today's session, I hope you're leaving with a clearer understanding of how Letters and Aspire work hand in hand to support both educator growth and student success. Letters provides that essential foundation with deep knowledge of reading science, while Aspire takes it a step further by helping educators put that knowledge into action, especially for our older students across all subject areas. Together, these programs create a powerful, aligned path for literacy instruction that spans from early learning through secondary education. By equipping educators with the tools they need, we're giving them the ability to increase the effectiveness of literacy instruction, which ultimately leads to improved student outcomes. And I thank you for your time, and here are contacts if you need them.
So we want to thank Lexia Learning for being here today and for sharing such great information with us. And if you have any questions and you would like them answered, we are going to turn off the recording and you are welcome to stay. Otherwise, you can expect to get these recordings, the whole list of recordings next Monday. Otherwise, you can check our website at grants.risa.net, and as they are processed, we will put them up there. So again, thank you very much, and we hope that you have a wonderful day.